Listen to this before your next difficult conversation, negotiation, or argument. You'll start noticing the moments where silence gives you more power than words ever could. 2,500 years ago, a general wrote that all conflict is decided before the first move is made, not by force, by what the other side doesn't know. Every army that ever lost the moment it revealed too much, its position, its plan, its temper. And every room you've ever walked into works exactly the same way, whether it's a negotiation, a family argument, or a meeting where nobody's raised their voice at all. Tonight, the rule Sun Tzu built an entire philosophy of war around, and why the quietest person in any room is usually the one actually running it. Principle 1. Silence hides your next move. You cannot counter a plan you cannot see. The moment you explain your strategy out loud, in a negotiation, an argument, a meeting, you've also handed over the blueprint for how to beat it. Picture two colleagues walking into the same salary negotiation. One rehearses their entire case to a friend beforehand, then walks in and delivers all of it in the first 2 minutes, numbers and reasoning included. The other says almost nothing, lets the employer make the first offer, and responds only to what's actually on the table. The first person negotiated against a target that no longer existed by the time they finished talking. The second negotiated against reality. This is why the most dangerous people in any room rarely announce what they're building, not out of secrecy for its own sake, but because a visible plan is a plan with a target painted on it, and someone is always looking for exactly where to aim. It's worth being precise about what this isn't. It isn't lying, and it isn't hiding wrongdoing. It's simply refusing to hand over the map before the terrain has been walked. A plan announced too early collects objections from people who were never going to help build it anyway, and every objection collected before execution is a chance for the plan to get talked out of existing at all. Principle 2. Silence denies people your reaction. Every time you confirm what upset you, what impressed you, what worked on you, you've just mapped your own pressure points for the next person who wants to use them. Think about the coworker who visibly reacts every time a certain comment lands. The eye roll, the sharp exhale, the defensive comeback. Within a month, everyone in that office knows exactly which sentence to use if they want a rise out of them. It's not malicious most of the time. It's just information, freely given, and information gets used. The general who reveals nothing when struck gives the enemy no information about where to strike again. The person who stays unreadable when provoked gives up nothing the provocation was fishing for in the first place. This is worth distinguishing from suppression, which is different and costs something real over time. The goal isn't to feel nothing, it's to choose, deliberately, what gets shown and when, rather than broadcasting every internal reaction the instant it occurs. The feeling can still be fully felt. It just doesn't need an audience to be valid. This isn't coldness. It's refusing to do someone else's reconnaissance for them, for free, in real time. There's a version of this that shows up in negotiations specifically. The person who visibly flinches at a number has just told the other side exactly where the real ceiling is, regardless of what they say next. The face already answered the question. Everything spoken afterward is just cleanup. Principle 3. Silence creates unpredictability, and unpredictability is control. A predictable person is a manageable one. Say everything, and people learn exactly which lever moves you. Say nothing, and they're forced to guess, which means they're the ones spending energy reacting to you instead of the other way around. Notice how a completely unreadable person changes the temperature of a room just by being in it. Not through intimidation, through uncertainty. Nobody knows quite what they're thinking, so everyone else adjusts around that unknown, which means the unreadable person never has to adjust to anyone. Sun Tzu's armies won by making the enemy defend everywhere at once, because the enemy never knew where the real attack was coming from. The same principle, at a much smaller scale, wins rooms. The person nobody can predict is the person everyone else quietly organizes around. This is also why predictability is such an expensive habit to build by accident. Most people don't choose to be readable. They just react the same way every time, until the pattern becomes public knowledge without them ever deciding to publish it. Breaking that pattern doesn't require deception. It just requires noticing which reactions have become reflexes and reclaiming the choice of whether to show them at all. Principle 4. Explaining yourself is a request for approval. Silence isn't. Watch what happens in any disagreement. The person who over-explains is signaling that they need the room to agree with them. The person who states something once and lets it sit isn't asking permission. And rooms can feel that difference immediately, even if they can't name it. Consider two people declining the same request. One spends 3 sentences justifying why, apologizing twice along the way. The other says, "That doesn't work for me," and stops talking. The second version isn't ruder. It's simply not offering anything to argue with. There's no over-explanation to pick apart, no visible anxiety to exploit. This is uncomfortable to hear because most of us over-explain out of habit, not necessity. Every unnecessary justification is a small transfer of power to whoever's listening, whether they asked for it or not. The habit usually starts young, in contexts where explaining yourself actually was necessary. To a parent, a teacher, someone with real authority over the outcome. It rarely gets retired once it stops being necessary. It just keeps running in rooms where nobody was actually owed an explanation in the first place, and nobody ever asked for one either. Principle 5. Silence buys the only thing that actually matters in any conflict: time to observe. Talking fills the exact gap where you'd otherwise be gathering information. Reading the room, noticing who's nervous, noticing what's actually being protected versus what's just being said. The moment you start filling silence, you stop collecting anything from it. The most useful 5 seconds in any tense conversation are usually the ones where nobody's said anything yet. That's when faces stop performing and start reacting honestly. Fill that gap with words, and you lose the only honest data the room was about to give you for free. This is why skilled negotiators so often let a silence stretch uncomfortably long after making an offer, well past the point where most people would rush to fill it. The discomfort of that silence is doing work. It's pressuring the other side to reveal their actual position, simply because most people can't tolerate an unfilled gap without volunteering something into it. None of this means becoming unreadable forever. A general who never moves never wins anything either. The actual skill Sun Tzu was pointing at isn't silence as a permanent state. It's silence as a choice. Knowing exactly when to reveal your position and refusing to do it on reflex, out of habit, or because a room made you feel like you owed it an explanation you never actually agreed to give. Most people give away their position for free, constantly, without ever noticing they're doing it. The rule is simple: make someone earn it. So the next time you feel the urge to explain, defend, or fill a silence that's making you uncomfortable, pause first, just for a moment. Ask what you'd actually be giving away by speaking right now, and whether it's worth what you'd get back. Most of the time, the room will survive the silence far better than you expect it to. It's rarely as costly as it feels in the moment. That feeling is the discomfort talking, not an accurate read of the actual stakes. That's the rule the quiet ones already know.